ladies and gentlemen, the last time that I heard of a person being killed in a police custody was during the Steve Biko in South Africa. Well, Steve Biko was the only guy who was killed in a police custody, and then the apartheid regime of South Africa at that time lamented and complained that it was self-inflicted. Well, here is another man, a young, vibrant leader, just as Steve Biko, who also was just trying to air his grievances and criticize the government oppressive nature, were also his lifeless body lying in the city mortuary. Well, this is Albert Omondi Ojwang, a person, a graduate teacher who just graduated and was teaching in Taveta County, only to return home in a casket. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the last time that I heard this was in South Africa. Well, after his death, the police inspector general Eliud has just said that he died as a result of self-infliction. Well, ladies and gentlemen, who in this earth can ever allow this? Then there are several questions that you should ask yourself as a viewer and as a Kenyan who killed Ojwang, ladies and gentlemen.
Natoka eneo la Homa Bay County, Kabondo Kasipul Sub County. Village yangu ni Kakot. Location ni Kokwani. Kufikia jana mchana mwendo wa saa 7, baada ya kufanya kazi ya shamba asubuhi na familia yangu, kijana wangu
How can a person be killed in a police custody? A person who was alive was picked from his home in Homa Bay County, transported to Central Police Station near my school, ladies and gentlemen. Well, after 5 hours, after a phone call, which I'll just play in this clip, the lifeless body of Ojwang was discovered in the cell where he was kept in. My big question is, as a person who has been arrested and put in custody in a Central Police Station in Nairobi, where was this guy put in a special cell? Because there in Central Police Station, most conflict waga wanaingizwaga kwa the same room. Kwani huyu jamaa aliingizwa kwa room gani? Well, another question that should be asked was the tweet that Ojwang posted worth losing such a life, ladies and gentlemen. Another question that I just want to ask is, when Omudowere was unalived, several police officers were put in several corners of Nairobi looking at the CCTVs, and truth be said is that after 48 hours, the people who unalived Omudowere were captured within 5 days. Ladies and gentlemen, why is it that the police IG right now cannot tell us, cannot explain how Albert Omondi, a brother from Lakeside, was unalived in the cell? Ladies and gentlemen, again, when Omudowere was unalived, vocal leaders like Gladys Wanga, who is the governor of Ojwang, were there seriously asking police officers just to make sure that pressurizing the police officers to make sure that Omodowere's death was, to make sure that Omudowere killers were identified. Ladies and gentlemen, today it has just come to my notice that after 6 hours, well, after 6 hours, it was when I realized that Raila Odinga, the person who is the blood-based government, just tweeted a post lamenting and saying that he need accountability. Ladies and gentlemen, why is Raila doing this after people have pressurized him just to speak? My brothers from Lakeside, this is a wake-up call for you. And if by any chance you are there, still waiting and worshipping Raila Odinga and the blood-based government brigade, it's high time for you to turn your back against these people. I think that the only legit leader from all this bread-based and blood-based government, a person who should be followed with a kind and one heart, is none other than Babu Owino. Well, where is Babu Owino? Babu Owino is the only leader who commented in this death and asked for transparency. Immediately, he listened to the death of Albert Ojwang. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that it's high time that Kenyan police should tell us immediately how we are not in the apartheid regime of South Africa where people could just be alive, people like Steve Biko anakuja na malizo. Then there's the apartheid regime wanasema ni self-inflicted, and the people of South Africa at that time who are still in the captive nature of the apartheid regime could just accept it seriously like that. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that I love this way we today march in the streets of Nairobi demanding justice for none other than Albert Ojwang. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that President William Samuel Ruto and all the police officers who are there, I think that, ladies and gentlemen, I think that the police, ladies and gentlemen, I think that the deputy police IG, Eliud Langat, should be answerable to this question. And in fact, right now, as we are making these videos, I think that he should be resigning. I was also surprised of seeing a one activist saying that the police officers there alimutishia kaambia wewe nimekumark. Why should you speak such derogatory words against protesters? Ladies and gentlemen, I think that transparency, accountability is what we need in the death of Albert Ojwang. Anyway, guys, let me know your own thoughts on comment section. Why do you think that as Kenya we need transparency, and why should William Samoei Ruto and all the government officials have? Ladies and gentlemen, those are just my opinions. Why I think that the police IG and the national government should be answerable to any questions that will come as a result of death of Costa Ojwang. Ladies and gentlemen, at last I was your host Silas. Till next video. Bye bye.